Hey guys, Lord Cloud X here, and today I'm going to be talking about my philosophy of art. And before I continue, I would like to give a shout out to Jimmy from My Art Life. I'd like to thank him for inspiring me to create this video. And yes, this is a new recording because I really didn't like how I recorded my voice the last time. And now I found the optimal mic settings, so hopefully the audio for this video will be much clearer this time. So let us begin. First of all, let's start with how I got started with art in general. And by that I mean how I really got into drawing more or less seriously. I mean, I've always been the type of guy who likes to doodle in class while listening to the lectures. I mean, I'm that guy who would be doodling all the time, and then the teacher would get pissed off at me drawing in class and ask me a difficult question, and I would answer him or her flawlessly because I was actually listening while I was doodling. Yeah, I'm that type of person. So anyway, those doodles were just very basic, very elementary, and really free form, really without any semblance of technique. So I first got started sometime back in 2004 to 2005 with actually learning how to draw, and this coincides with my entry into the world of original English visual novels. And as you can see on the screen, my initial attempt was quite horrible, to say the least. I mean, looking at it now, it's really full of anatomy errors, mistakes in coloring, and just looks really terrible in general. So anyway, this was when I first got started. And yes, I started with digital art. So I would draw on paper, I would make a pencil sketch, and then I would scan it in, and then I would add line art, digitally of course. I would trace the line art, and then you know how it goes. Add in layers of color, flat colors, and then shadows, then highlights, and basically you're done. And you can do embellishments as well as you get more comfortable with digital art. There are lots of techniques that you can use. And yes, it is much easier if you have a tablet, but only if you happen to be good at using a drawing tablet. I happen to be hopeless at using a drawing tablet, even though I do have one, so yeah, that doesn't work for me. So, my medium. The medium that I first started with would be definitely colored pencils. So I bought this cheap set of colored pencils, no-name brand really, probably from National Bookstore. You know, those colored pencils that they sell at the stationery section. And I followed a tutorial online, and I was actually quite pleased with the results. So I went with the flow and bought, this time, higher student grade set of colored pencils, and that would be the Faber-Castell colored pencils. Classic ones, not the Prismacolor, not the, I forgot, what was it? What is the name of that? The more expensive line of colored pencils, the wax version from Faber-Castell. Anyway, I am actually using Prismacolor colored pencils right now. And it was sometime maybe 2 to 3 years ago let's say it was 3 years ago, give or take, when I discovered the medium of watercolors. And my initial watercolor sets were Simbalayan and Dong-A, whatever. That Korean brand of watercolors, basically for kids. And when I first started out, I really liked the effect of watercolors. And I will say right now that this really became my go-to medium, the medium that really defines me as an artist. And I really, really love watercolors, even to this day. Right now, I am using Sakura Koi watercolors, the Sakura Koi Field Sketch Set 12 color palette for my portable set, and for my studio or working at home set. I don't really have a studio, but anyway, let me get away with calling it that. So for my studio set, it would be the Kuretake Gansai Tambi 36 color palette. And I really love how smooth the colors lay down, especially when you compare it to even a high student grade set like Prang or Sakura Koi. There's really a huge difference in the quality, and you have to see it with your own eyes in order to distinguish. I mean, a scanned version or even a high quality picture really does not do it justice. You have to see it with your own eyes, especially for smoothness and that Gansai Tambi sparkle. So anyway, what I really like about watercolors as a medium is that there is always this element of unpredictability in the way you paint. I mean, whenever I paint with watercolors, it's not precise science. There's always that element of unpredictability with how I use the water. I mean, through experience, I now know just how much water to use in order to achieve a certain effect. But there are always those times, every single time that I paint, wherein I'm not really sure how the colors will eventually lay down, although I do have a vague idea of where I want them to end up and what I want the final picture, the final image, or final painting, to be exact, to end up. But when I lay down the initial washes, there's always those times when the paint or the water will not behave the way I want it to, and sometimes I use wet on wet a bit too much and it's a little bit too wet, and I get a bit impatient and start adding in the outlines. I actually use paint for the outlines as well. So I'm a purist, except for the sketch. Except for the pencil sketch, I use watercolors exclusively. I don't embellish them with colored pencils, except sometimes when I'm specifically using mixed media. I've also dabbled in other media such as oil pastels, oil painting, acrylic painting. I would say that my best medium would actually be colored pencils, and for achieving painterly effects, it would be oil pastels. And I mean those cheap pencil oil pastels that you can buy just about everywhere. But the medium that I really love is watercolors. And again, it is because of that element of unpredictability. So moving on. What drives my art? It's really very simple. What drives my art is really the need to create something beautiful. I mean, I am actually a very philosophical person, and yes, I do have this darkness inside me that I need to contain. I'm sure we all have that in all of us. But with me, the thing with me is that when I paint or when I draw, I don't really think about the darkness inside of my soul and stuff like that. I just think about trying to create something beautiful. The need for creating something aesthetically pleasing. And usually, and almost all the time actually, what is beautiful? To me. So, what is it? What is beautiful? Well, the answer is very simple. It's simply Sanzanin Nagi. Yes. Nagi, my waifu, the girl from Hayate, the combat butler, the one whose ship won in the end, the co-main character. I love her with all of my being. So, yes, she is my muse, she is my inspiration, and she is the driving force behind my art. And of course, when it comes to writing, the need to create something beautiful is there as well. But this time, when I write, there's also those times when I would include elements of human nature which may not be desirable or even evil, or, the most depraved moments of humanity, so to speak. Yes, there are those times when I include those in my writing as well, because when I write, I need to be really inspired by something, like a particular scene that I want to recreate or describe through my writing. Usually it's one particular scene which sets off a chain of chapters in my stories. I'm usually working towards just one particular scene, and everything that I include in my story would be building up towards that one scene, and when I finally get to write down that one scene, the feeling is absolutely glorious. Well, that's basically how I work as a writer. In any case, as an artist, as a visual artist, I am a very simple person. I simply want to create something beautiful, and again, that something beautiful is usually Nagi. And yes, I do tend to sway towards more of the cute side. So I also like Miku. I also draw other cute girls like Kuro from Prisma Ilia, Fate Light Liner, Prisma Ilia, and I also draw Shiro sometimes from No Game No Life. In any case, so what is beautiful to me is what I draw, basically. And it's not really about the study of aesthetics or what is proportional, what is symmetrical. No, it's really just what appeals to me as a person, as an individual. And of course, for me, the most beautiful girl in existence or out of existence would simply be Sanzanin Nagi. And with that said, I think I have exhausted all the topics for now, and thank you for listening to my little art philosophy. This has been Lord Cloud X, out.